For this video here, it's going to be about my top 10 PSP games, right? So, and keep in mind, these types of lists, they're very subjective, right? So, your top 10 is going to look very different than mine. And yeah, so top 10, right? And I'm going to probably do one like for a PS3. I can try to do one like for PS3. It was hard. Usually top 10 list, I struggle like trying to figure out like, ranks 5, 6, 7. It is the hardest for me to figure out, right? At the middle of the list like, is the hardest to figure out. So yeah, so top 10 PSP games. Please like and subscribe. Number 10 is going to be Dungeon Siege Throne of Agony. I like it for its bird's eye view approach. I like the gameplay, the various spells you get, right? The various builds, right? It is an RPG. It is very much like an RPG. Tons of areas to explore, enemies to fight, right? Level, and as well leveling up obviously as a thing. Early on in the game, right? Like if you're not careful, you're going to come across areas that are too high level for you, right? So you're gonna come across like level 9 enemies early on in the game, and you will die if you're not careful. If you know what you're doing through the exploration and through leveling up certain builds, it gets very easy. Dungeon Siege Throne of Agony, I highly recommend it if you're on PSP. Number 9 is going to be Pursuit Force Extreme Justice, right? So, like a very kind of like an action, kind of a chasing sequence game. And yeah, so it's kind of like a racer, a chase sequence game, like with, there is a QTE, right? A shootout moments, and yeah. But Pursuit Force Extreme Justice is actually one of the best looking games like for the PSP, right? Very, impressive in some of the driving mechanics, and it is very arcadey in style, and yeah. Various other modes, replayability modes, lots of content like in the game. Lots of content. And yeah, if you like chase sequences, there's also like on foot shootouts, right? So there's on foot shootouts where you gotta go like into cover, destroy a certain objective, protect a certain escort companion, and yeah. But Pursuit Force Extreme Justice, I highly recommend it. It is a little difficult. It is a little difficult in some of the timing. So sometimes the game will give you like a limited time frame to complete the objective. So there is that, but still very fun. Then my number 8 is going to be Daxter. So this is just Daxter, literally just Daxter, but it's a similar type of gameplay to Jak and Daxter. So basically, Daxter, right? He gets, so he's on like this solo, adventure. He's doing jobs by himself. But I like the action adventure, to the gameplay, the enemies, the platforming. There's even like these dream sequences where there's this kind of weird ass QTE segment where Daxter is like this cool ass ninja or whatever, and he does this martial arts moves. And yeah, there's this poison based weapon that you get. And yeah, but it's an overall very fun adventure style game. The only problem I had with the game, there is glitches. There was a glitch like where I wouldn't load the cutscene, so I was stuck. I was literally stuck. I didn't know what to do. And yeah, and some of the controls they're a little weird, but still a Daxter. Resistance Retribution, which I talked about a couple of days ago. But Retribution, like I've been playing it recently. It's one of the first PSP games I ever got. But I remember really loving this game. Right, a third-person resistance game, right? A third-person shooter, right? Very fun, right? And the enemies, you have different variants of the Chimera. Gunplay feels very solid. Controls are very good. Retribution has, there's like underwater swimming areas, big bosses, mini bosses, lots to it. And yeah, but Retribution, and I'm not sure if this is, this is like a separate, it's the same timeline, but it's like another. It looks like another perspective. So you go to Europe and you look at how the Chimera, infection affected the people like in the 1950s of Europe. And yeah, it's all fictional, but yeah, it is very fun. The Gangs of London, right? So Gangs of London, like for the PSP, like Gangs of London for the approach, for it feels very much like a GTA style game. I can talk about this game like a lot like in the past, but yeah, Gangs of London. If you're looking for like some sort of GTA kind of a semi GTA game for the PSP, I highly recommend it. And yeah, and so basically, you choose a faction, some sort of a gang faction, right? Whether it be Chinese, a White Dragon faction, some sort of a Middle Eastern faction, right? Irish faction, and yeah, and it is a pretty fun, right? A pretty solid gameplay mechanics. Some of the controls they're a bit rough, right? But overall, though, a very fun game. Going to be a Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. So Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker. I put so many hours into this game, when I was back in middle school, high school, and yeah. But a Peace Walker was one of my earliest PSP experiences. So basically, this takes place before Metal Gear Solid 5 or 4, right? But I remember a lot of this game, right? Building up Mother Base, the various sectors of Mother Base, right? The main ops, the side ops, right? The thing about this game, however, is that, I really like the boss fights. So those boss fights, like those big giant AI robots that you fight, or AI mechs, they're very cool, right? And yeah, and as well, the shooting mechanics feels very solid. Stealth mechanics feel very solid. The takedown animations as well. And yeah, but Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, again, it's one of those PSP games. It has a lot of content. You can also play this game through HD collection like on the PS3, right? Where the graphics is better, controls are better. And yeah, but yeah, Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, oh my god, so many things I have to do in this game. My number 4 is going to be Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, right? So Ratchet and Clank Size Matters, my first game, like for the PSP, I love this game, right? Because so many weapons, like with most Ratchet and Clank games, I love the uniqueness, like in the weapon variety, right? This one had that shotgun, right? You had that laser beam gun, a flamethrower, like this, and as well this kind of like acidic grenade, and yeah. But overall, though, like a very fun game, right? A really, really, really fun game. And I can also play, there's a mini Clank arcade challenges as well, right? Ratchet as well, they try to steal Ratchet's DNA and create clones of him near the end of the game, and yeah, but yeah, like a very solid experience. It's not it's not the best Ratchet and Clank game, right? There are better ones out there, but still, like for a PSP standards, you can. This is absolutely amazing, right? And yeah, this is definitely better than that Clank Secret Agent. Number 3 is Burnout Legends. So Burnout Legends, or really a Burnout 3, right? I'm not sure what the difference is, right? But yeah, so Burnout Legends, I love Burnout 3. A very fun game to binge. The races are very fun, engaging, right? The crash events are very fun, right? Where you gotta run into like some sort of intersection and cause as much damage as possible to the vehicles or the trucks, and yeah. But Burnout Legends, right, is very, very, very fun, very super addicting, right? And yeah, if you have a PSP and you like racing games, right, outside of Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, this one, and other racing games, there very rarely do I rank racing games are very high, like on a ranking list. But overall, though, Burnout Legends, and if you like Burnout 3, it's basically that. I get to play Burnout 3 like on the PSP. And yeah, let me know down below if there are other Burnouts for the PSP, because this one overall was very solid. And yeah, lots of different vehicles, unlockables, and every event there's like a bronze, silver, gold, right? Reward, right? Depending on how well you do, and yeah. The thing with this one though, they added a police section, so you can play as police, similar to Need for Speed, and then you can chase the racers, and yeah. So my number 2 is going to be God of War Chains Olympus. This one was my introduction to the God of War franchise. So when I played this game, right, back in middle school, high school, this game blew me away. I was amazed by the game. The action, the comboing, right, the upgrade system. And yeah, so Chains of Olympus, so it's kind of confusing. This, like the timeline takes place before God of War 1 and 2, right? The original ones, right, in 05, 07. And yeah, so Kratos, what was it again? He has to save the sun, Helios, right? That's the sun god from Hades' evil wife. So Hades has like an evil wife, and as well Atlas, right? And yeah, so but overall though, like it is a very fun, solid, and if you like those, a lot of PSP games overlap like with PS2 games. I feel like like those early God of War games, I can literally play it here, right? A similar type of game here, and yeah. The power-ups, the upgrades, even though this one kind of lacked weapons, right? But no, for the PSP standards in visuals, mechanics, controls, it is very impressive. I highly recommend it. And yeah, Chains of Olympus. There's also this game for the PS3, so you can play the HD collection for the PS3, right? I feel like the PlayStation 3 control is better. My favorite PSP game is gonna be Flat Out Head On. Oh, Flat Out Head On, man! I tell you, I put so many hours into this game, lots of hours into this game, right? And yeah, man, I tell you, like, you know, the demolition derbies, those crazy ass ejector seat, what do you call them? Ejector seat challenges, and yeah, you know, the races are very suspenseful, and all those things. But very impressive visually. Driving mechanics pretty solid, although some of the turning you know, can be a little slow. And yeah, this one, there's lots of content like in the racing game. And yeah, I'm not sure if this was, I think it's just for the PSP. They had other older Flat Out games for the original Xbox and PS2. But man, I tell you, this is a very solid experience for the PSP. And going through the game too as well, like, you know, as you go further into like the game Flat Out mode. So Flat Out mode, and there's like some sort of a carnage mode, right? So Flat Out mode, like you basically, you know, race, you do demolition derbies to get the higher classes of cars, the faster cars, and yeah, off-road racing, right? Demolition derbies. There's, you know, crazy ass, you know, crash courses, right? There's like a time trials, right? And yeah, but Flat Out Head On, I highly recommend it. It is my favorite PSP game. Top 10 PSP games. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. And leave down below your list, right, of top 10 PSP games. If